Welcome back to the Commercial Real Estate Show. I'm Michael Bull. Today we're talking about mixed-use developments. Please welcome my next guest. It's Jerry Hoffman. Jerry is founder of Hoffman Strategy Group. They're headquartered in Lincoln, Nebraska. Jerry, thanks for joining us on Skype today.
Thank you for the opportunity, Michael.
Well, thank you. And, we're talking about mixed-use developments. It seems to be all the rage. It seems like I live in Atlanta, and it seems like that's most of the development we're seeing. We're seeing some still kind of the older traditional retail. So what does the future look like for mixed-use development?
I think the future of mixed-use development looks quite bright for really the next generation. And when I say generation, I really view it as the next wave of development for the upcoming 10 to 20 years. And I say that in large measure because single-use retail centers, at least brand new ones under construction, are but a handful since the Great Recession. The most recent one that has opened up since 2009, which is one of the few, is down in Sarasota, Florida. So I think that what is dictated by the market is the incorporation of other uses, the non-retail uses, on either existing retail properties. It might be a community or neighborhood mall center. It could be a regional shopping center. And the incorporation of other uses being anything from luxury apartments, multifamily units, some senior housing, hospitality, creative office space, etc. So I really see this as an indication that the markets in cities across the country are really absorbing the mixed-use developments.
Yeah, and mixed use is a really good use for some of these dead malls and underperforming shopping centers, isn't it?
It is, indeed. And I think for developers and owners of the malls and centers, it really offers a way to both broaden the portfolio, diversify the portfolio, if you will, thereby diversifying the income stream so it's not so singularly dependent upon retail sales to be able to withstand the changes in the market conditions.
Right. And what are some of the trends you're seeing of some of these maybe newer tenants coming into mixed-use projects and retail developments?
Well, co-working spaces like WeWork, for example, are beginning to appear in many more malls in mixed-use developments, urban mixed-use developments, either downtown or within the central business district. And I think that's indicative of a growing freelance economy that we have in America. More entrepreneurs, more business startups, both in terms of tech and non-tech companies that are congregating among themselves, if you will, to create a kind of business support community or business incubator in co-working spaces. I think, too, that mixed-use developments, particularly where there is the incorporation of retail, is beginning to show more retail boutiques. These might be local women's apparel boutiques, companies that are moving from being online to bricks and mortar. For example, Warby Parker, Bonobos are beginning to identify urban street retail and urban mixed-use centers or projects for their locations.
Yeah, and tell our listeners a little bit more about the co-working space. So you're really talking about office space, and is some of this like second floor type uses?
Exactly. These are predominantly small footprint offices, whereby if I, as a freelancer, for example, wanted to move from being home-based to a more office setting, would buy a membership or a monthly fee into a co-working space and either have my own desk, my own office, or I might be able to rent a room on demand, like a conference room, to be able to hold video conferences such as this one, or be able to have meetings with clients at a facility that is more professional than what one might have in their own home.
Right.
So it's really an emerging space in the office assets,
Yeah,
if you will, and are found. You find them in Atlanta and Chicago, LA.
great.
There's one in the downtown part of Lincoln called Fuse CoWorking. So it's a real interesting phenomenon, if you will, in terms of how the next generation is really working today.
Right, and we're talking with Jerry Hoffman with Hoffman Strategy Group, and one of the things that you guys do is figuring out where the best locations are. Right, looking at the demographics and figuring out where a new mixed development should go. So if maybe you own a dead mall or an underperforming shopping center, or you miss how you say it? The city, right? Municipality. I could say that. And you'd like to have more mixed use. What makes a great location?
Well, it really depends a large measure on what the consumer profiles are within a given market. I think it's really important that a developer and owner examine the sort of the psychographics, if you will, how people shop, shopping behavior, lifestyle behaviors, tastes, preferences, etc., and the forecasting of that over 5 and even to 10 years more extensively, to begin identifying what kind of retail is going to fit best in the market now that it has shifted, what kind of apartments are being demanded by the household renters today, what are the amenities, what kind of experiences are tourists and visitors to a given market wishing to have when they are visiting a city. So what does that impact? How does that impact the hospitality industry, the restaurants, the perhaps boutique hotels for a given area? I think it's really important to understand those consumer dynamics and then look at the economics of the location itself.
Yeah, well, those are good tips, because I think people think that this is a great place for a mixed use, but then it comes down to it, maybe it's not, because a lot of things got to come into play, especially with these different users. And you've mentioned hospitality. Give us some tips about incorporating hospitality or not incorporating it in a new mixed use development.
Well, one of the things that is important to examine a local market in the context for hospitality development is whether the market will support a limited service hotel, a full service convention style hotel, the room sizes, etc., and what kind of amenities, cultural, social, event-oriented amenities are either already in place in a given community or a given market or planned to be in place. For example, is there a new arena going into your community or going into the trade area where there will be a host of new concert venues? You'll have Pink and Elton John and others coming to a community that may not have been there before. And that really is important to identify in order to look at what the arc for hospitality will be for a given market area.
Yeah, that's great. And Pink and Elton John, or maybe you'll just have Elton John wearing pink. Who knows? But
That's right.
We love Elton. He has one of his homes here in Atlanta, so we can joke about him, right? Well, Jerry, I appreciate you being on the show and joining us on Skype. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Well, thanks, and stay with us. We're going to have more on mixed-use development, including a developer to get their view on what's happening. So stay tuned. This is the Commercial Real Estate Show. I'm Michael Bull. We'll be right back.
The Commercial Real Estate Show is brought to you by Bull Realty, a great place to do business. RealNex, software for productivity. Xceligent, information for the professionals. And Commercial Search, properties for sale and lease. To access these companies or for additional videos, podcasts, and articles, visit CREshow.com.